All right, first up, it's been 3 months since the Air India crash in Ahmedabad, a national tragedy. But the story now is not just about what brought the plane down. It's about the man who was flying it and the father still fighting for his son's dignity. Captain Sumit Sabharwal was a highly experienced pilot with over 15,000 flying hours. But after the crash, some reports began pointing to pilot error, even suggesting it might have been intentional. Now, the Supreme Court has stepped in, questioning the leaks of the report and demanding clarity from investigators. Because speculation, especially when it involves a life lost, can do lasting damage. And that's what his 93-year-old father, Pushkaraj Sabharwal, is fighting against. He lost his son that day, a son who had just told him that he was planning to retire, come back home to take care of him. Instead, he's now battling headlines that plant his son as unstable based on something that happened long ago, his old personal struggles. At his age, 90 plus, most people seek peace, but Mr. Sabharwal is seeking justice, asking for a fresh investigation, not just into the crash, but into how his son is being remembered. This is more than an aviation inquiry. It's a father's last stand to protect the legacy of a man who no longer can defend himself. Here's a download of the entire story, and then we'll talk to Mr. Sabharwal's lawyer.
The tragic Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad, which claimed over 270 lives, continues to cast a shadow over the nation. With grief still fresh, the blame game and speculation about the cause of the crash have only intensified. A PIL has called for fast-track, fair and independent probe into the crash. And the Supreme Court has finally intervened. Earlier, reports had claimed that one of the pilots deliberately shut off the fuel supply. These reports were deemed very unfortunate by Justice Suryakant, who emphasized that the leak of initial inquiry findings could only fuel baseless rumors. The Apex Court also cautioned and warned that any premature public dissemination of data would lead to the creation of theories in places like podcasts and social media rooms. The initial findings revealed that seconds after takeoff, both fuel control switches on the Boeing 787 moved to cut off, resulting in total engine failure. According to the initial report, the cockpit voice recording captured a brief exchange between the pilots, where one pilot was heard asking, and I quote, "Why did you cut off fuel?" To which another replied, and I quote, "I did not do so," unquote. 56-year-old Captain Sumit Sabharwal and co-pilot Clive Kunder, aged 32, were on the flight when the incident occurred. Both pilots were highly experienced with over 19,000 flight hours combined. The petitioner counsel also questioned the pilot's suicide theory in the court. The controversy erupted after a Wall Street Journal article suggested that the pilots were being blamed for the crash. After a plea by the council, the Supreme Court has now issued a notice to the Civil Aviation Ministry and flight watchdog DGCA. While it is crucial to uncover the truth behind the deadly tragedy, it is also equally important to avoid the spread of unsubstantiated claims. The nation's sentiments, especially those of the grieving families, deserve to be treated with dignity during this difficult time. With Anisha Mathur and Astha Bhardwaj, Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, like we said, it is more than just an airline tragedy. This questions the systems, it questions the way in which investigations are done, and importantly, it questions dignity of life and even death. Joining us next is Pranav Sachdeva. He's a lawyer representing the family in court. Pranav, lots of questions arise from here, but I want to start with first sort of just getting your idea about what is it that Mr. Sabharwal is looking for at this point. Are we talking about just the reporting of sort of not conclusive findings? Is that the only plea? Or are we also looking and questioning the whole system where how can DGCI really sort of investigate their own people if that's at fault at all? What is your case?
Yes. So basically, just to clarify, we are not lawyers for the family of the pilot. This was a petition by an independent organization which works on the aviation safety, and they have filed a petition seeking a court-monitored investigation, saying that by just blaming it on pilot error, you don't solve any safety issues. You don't check the aircraft. You don't check the whether the aircraft was airworthy or the manufacturer's practices or the operator handling of the issue. You just close the complete case by saying it's a pilot error, so nothing needs to be done. So therefore, we have sought a court-monitored probe, and we have also said that you have yourself breached the confidentiality. You are stating in one line by just paraphrasing these cockpit conversation. Why not release the timestamps and why not release the actual conversation? And what about the raw flight data? Why not release it for public domain? So because in Mangalore crash, there was a formal inquiry, a proper court of inquiry. So why not go for that? You are doing a closed door under the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, and most of the people are appointed by the DGCA. The sitting DGCA officers are part of the AAIB probe, and US is being involved, which obviously has commercial interest because flight manufacturer belongs to that country. So
Yeah.
we need a impartial probe, and now 100 days have passed. There is no timeline. When will the final report come? The preliminary report gives no facts, makes no safety recommendation. There is no recommendation you do this check, that check, etc. So nobody is any wiser after 100 days. So that's why the court has said we need an expeditious and independent probe.
Could you explain, Pranav, in detail and perhaps in simplicity for our audience on why you think DGCA is not an impartial body to investigate this matter?
See, as a regulator, all planes and all operators, everything has to go through regulatory check. There are systems in place. So whether there was a systemic failure is also can be called a regulatory failure at some level. And that needs to be investigated. So if you have sitting DGCA officers, it may not be the proper way to do it. That is why international conventions also say that the investigation agency has to be a completely independent body. Our own law also provides it to be an independent body. So if that same body inducts the officers of the DGCA, it creates a problem. Plus, if you have US involvement so heavily, and this Wall Street Journal, etc., leaking that the investigation is focusing on the pilot actions. So therefore, then there is also an element of it does not look fair because there are huge commercial stakes, especially
Of
of the
course.
manufacturer involved.
Yeah.
Their whole internationally the stakes are high for them. So
Boeing in this case, yeah.
absolutely. So that is why we need a investigation which will inspire confidence because it's about hundreds of victims
Yes,
and also
absolutely.
of citizens who travel daily. So if the report does not make any safety recommendation, so we are not any wiser, we are not any safer today as we were there. I have not seen any safety recommendations that you do these 20 checks. Maybe they were missed earlier. So, and the final report, there is no timeline.
We haven't
So
seen
that is
any recommendations, but we have seen a lot of flights taking a U-turn. We've seen a
correct.
lot of pilots now saying, I will not operate under these circumstances. We've reported several of these cases where pilots on a slight miss, which they would earlier ignore, now don't do it anymore. So the pilot community seems to be very proactive, but you're right, we haven't heard it. I want to understand another thing, Pranav. Is it generally the case that it takes more than 100 days for even the black box details to be put out?
No, it should not.
And
They should
is
have
it
immediately
and
put it out.
shouldn't this have been the first thing that was done in this case?
Absolutely. See, once you make it public, there are a lot of independent experts and pilots and retired DGC officers, other experts who can analyze the data and who can maybe depose before your expert body and your investigators. They can say, I have some expertise. I will depose before you. What is the harm in raw flight data? So if you keep it secret and then say that, please just trust us nobody else. We will. The final report
But
will
actually,
come.
it's not
We don't know.
secret. It's selective leaking that's
Correct.
happening. There is no, so where are we at, just to sort of conclude this, we
Yes.
don't know what happened. We
Yeah.
only know that partly the pilot might have been involved, and there are again leaks of his past history, etc. We don't know what the black box says, and we haven't heard of any corrective measures being done. And this applies to
Yes.
DGCA, it applies to Boeing as well. Would that
Yes.
be a fair analysis?
Correct. So basically, the plane was suffering from other electrical failures. That report does discount. Was reading news reports that the same plane flew from the previous leg. And in the previous leg flight journey, there were passengers who were complaining of electrical problems, AC problems, etc. So all that needs to be seen, whether it was electrical failure. So just by insinuating a pilot error in one sentence, without even quoting the conversation, without giving any timestamp, without doing any factual analysis, you are treating virtually internationally and in India as a closed chapter. That now nothing needs to be done. This was a
And
one-off
Pranav,
pilot
last thing I
action.
want to understand, the decision on whether or not DGCA investigates this matter further or an independent body is formed is currently sitting with the government of India. The court has asked the government of India now to take a call.
The government has taken a call that this AAIB is going to complete the investigation. So we want at least the court to monitor it, appoint some experts, or order a formal inquiry, which they have. The government of India has all the power to do it. If you don't initiate a formal court of inquiry and open, you will not. If you don't do it in such a catastrophic accident, then you will do it in which case? Then why is that rule for? That provision is for specifically for such cases
Got it.
where this kind, and so that is why Supreme Court's intervention today is a very helpful intervention, so that there has to be some accountability.
Right.
And
All
these
right.
issues will come in public domain.
These answers need to clearly come out in public domain, and these questions, like
Absolutely.
I said, go far beyond the single crash. They also touch upon the systemic gaps in accountability, empathy, and also the truth in aviation ecosystem and also public discourse. Thanks so much, Pranav, for joining us
Thank you.
and making all those very important points. Navratri, the season of devotion, of celebration, of also fasting. But here's the question, are we really fasting, or has that really lost its meaning altogether? And now, fasting has started looking a little bit like this. A massive feast, which has sugar-loaded sweets, it has carbs, it has a lot of potato, it has a lot of deep-fried stuff. Is that really what fasting is all about? I'm sure all of us agree no. But why has it come to being this way? And then, how can we make the switch back? That's what we're going to spend the next couple of minutes discussing. I'm very glad to have with Mantri here with us, who's going to help us unpack the amount of calorie load this plate has, and more importantly, understanding the essence of fasting. If anybody asked you to keep a fast, it had almost become a treat. Because you could have your favorite chips, you could have your deep-fried bhajiyas and pakodis and puris, and it felt like such a celebration.
Yeah.
What has gone wrong? Where have we lost the plot?
Yeah, surely, so Navratri, a bit you could compare it to Ramzan in the other religion, The whole idea was to eat less and allow your body to do more things than just continuously process, digest, assimilate food. We use this clinically, and whether you look at modern old scriptures like Ayurveda, you look at modern medicine,
They both agree.
everything understands that if you eat less and if you allow your body some rest and recovery, not only can you beat chronic diseases, you can look at longevity and so many other things. Yes.
But isn't this the opposite of what we're doing of late?
Completely.
We feed ourselves like there's no tomorrow, especially
Completely.
during these times.
Yeah, I think we've confused fasting protocols and things like Navratri with things like maybe Diwali and Christmas. Diwali was a time to eat sweets and share them with your friends and family. Navratri was something which was essentially meant for you twice a year to not eat and not really have a big celebration. It was essentially a time of self-discovery, of sitting down, slowing down, eating less. And I think we've really completely lost that plot.
Lost the plot over there. I also always found that whenever Navratri falls, it's also, according to the climate, a beautiful movement. we are just in between seasons. This is also the time a lot of infections are in the air. This is the best time to sort of eat less, take lesser load on your body, and just let it detox before the new season sets in. So when you put like, old scriptures or what our Dadi Nani would say versus with modern science, there is such a beautiful marriage. They're both saying the same things.
Absolutely.
It's just that we only understand that now.
Yeah.
But, but there is a typical protocol for fasting as well, right? For example, there are no grains. Could you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the whole idea was that you don't eat anything cooked or you don't eat anything which has grains, because we typically tend to eat rice and wheat all the time and other grains.
Yeah.
So you allow your body to just take raw food most of the time or make food with vegetables, a little bit of dairy, fermented dairy products and a little bit of fruits if possible, and nuts and seeds were added to the whole thing.
Yeah.
But now what we've done is we've realized that you can make puris, if not from wheat, make it from buckwheat,
So what exactly is buckwheat? Can you decode that?
So, some of these flours that are used, for example, in this thali is water chestnut and buckwheat. These are not grains or pseudo grains like millets. They are actually vegetables or fruits.
Yeah.
And therefore, they fall into the realm of what you can eat in a fast. That does not mean you can just take and fry them in oil and then still have them.
Right. Help me understand this a little bit. So, can I start with what used to be my favorite growing up? It used to be sabudana. And today sabudana is called a superfood, etc. But a lot of people don't understand that it is just pure processed starch.
Correct.
Can we start with that?
So sabudana is tapioca. Tapioca is a tuber, which is like potatoes. Nutritious if you eat a little bit of it and you don't fry it, yes? But what we did was we made milled sabudana where we removed all the goodness. We just got the white part of it and made it into a very starchy small pearls. Now those pearls are deep fried into a pakora to give you an overload of carbs. The problem with eating so much carbs and fried carbs is that this will not satiate you, yes? The more your sugars increase, the more you have an urge to eat more and more going through. So sabudana vada may be tasty, but really not something you should be eating.
Really not
fast.
something very bad on the calorie count, and even worse if you're a diabetic.
Yes.
Because it will spike your blood sugar and then you will have a crash some hours later, and that is not going to lead you anywhere. How about we do this, Manjari? How about we go one item each, and then you can tell us a little bit of history about it. So sabudana we understood. This is a typical kuttu ki puri, right?
Yes. So essentially you take kuttu ka atta, which is two of the attas or flours that is used is water chestnut and buckwheat. Because they're difficult to otherwise make, we add some grated potatoes or colocasia to it and you make puris out of it. This is really deep fried puri. I'm not sure what oil has been used. You obviously don't want to eat fried food to detox your body. Yes, that's the last thing on your mind, but that's what we end up eating. These also are actually singhada atta, fried bhajiyas. So I mean bhajiyas, yes. And
Bhajiyas are
deep
pakodis,
fried.
as we say it in North. This is again a sabudana.
Again
papad.
deep fried, not roasted. Yes.
So popular, everybody thinks it's so healthy and we should be popping more and more. No, stop. It is just processed starch and fat, and that's that, right? There's nothing else. Not even fat, it's a carb.
It is carb, and
is
you
carb.
fried it. The worst combination is carbs and fat together. Yes,
Yeah.
we say fat is good. Yes, but when you don't fry food in it, the best way to eat fat is eat it visible. Add ghee on something. Yes, eat it as a nut or a seed. That's where fat is good.
Right. Let's move on to the other stuff. Now, aloo ki sabzi. This is literally just some potato in some curry, right?
Yes.
Like again, just pure carb.
Correct. I mean, not maybe a little bit better than most of the red stuff because less sugar. Potatoes are okay as long as you don't fry them. But obviously, only potatoes is not a good idea. There's so many other vegetables. You could have made a lauki curry instead of a potato curry, yes? And a little bit of tomatoes there if you're allowed to eat them. Some people eat tomatoes and fast, some people don't.
don't.
So it depends really.
And then there is another
Fried
potato thing,
potatoes, yes.
fried potatoes. This is again just tossed in some oil with
Yeah.
some seasoning.
A lot of
Nothing else
thalis
there.
also have potato chips, which you haven't
Yes,
added, you know.
yes, but we got the
Sabul.
popular the
Papad.
popular chip, and then after that there is the mithai.
Yes.
There is the meetha. Now this is suji, right? Suji is allowed.
No, no, this is
No,
not suji. This is
हाँ.
also kutu ke aate ka
Kutu
halwa,
ke aate ka,
which is
okay,
buckwheat
okay,
flour.
okay, हाँ.
But again, fried, lots of sugar there for sure. And halwa is halwa. Yeah, so definitely not a great dessert. This seems to be like some kheer made with samak chawal.
Yes,
We
which
are
is
allowed.
allowed.
Yes, samak chawal is allowed because it's not a grain again. It's made from a vegetable. But then you can't make a kheer with so much of sugar and dairy in it. Yes.
Yeah. So typically, this is a classic example of a good dish gone wrong.
Yeah.
Right? There is milk, which is all right if you can tolerate it. There is makhana, which is great individually. There is almond, which is also great. There is coconut. There is some cashews and some samak chawal. All of them good ingredients, but only when had separately, not mixed together with loads of sugar.
Loads of sugar,
Like
that's-
this is like a good deal gone wrong.
You know,
Right?
if I end up eating this, my
Huh.
sugars no way can stay below 140, which is the ceiling where the
Yeah.
sugars postprandial
Yeah.
should be. And once you have that big spike,
Huh.
the body makes a lot of insulin, which pulls down the sugar, and then you start feeling hungry again.
But this is a typical package
Yeah.
juice, right?
Yeah.
Which is almost no fiber and just the sugar.
The beauty of most juice packets, if you look them, is
Huh.
look them up, will be they say contains no fruit. You know,
Huh.
most so it's just a concoction of some color and chemicals
Yes.
and sugars.
Yeah, and we
Label
think
is
that
fruit-
this is juice
fruit
and we
juice.
should have it, all of it. Let's quickly give you another reason on why this is bad for you. Let's do a calorie count on this plate, okay? Do you want to start with the sabudana
This
here?
looks like massive calorie stuff. It's a calorie bomb to start with.
Huh.
The whole thing is not less than 1,000 plus kilocalories
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Individually,
Which is how much of what one should be consuming in a
maybe
day?
almost 2/3 of what you should have in a day if
In
you're
a
a
full day.
sedentary person.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Up to 1,600, 1,800 is your kilocalorie
Yeah,
requirement.
yeah.
That too, if you're physically agile. If you're sedentary, it can be
Yeah,
lesser.
yeah.
So this is almost 2/3 or at least half of
The
what
full
you should
plate.
eat.
Yeah, okay, let's start with what is the calorie bomb here, like you said?
I think, this for sure, this for sure, and your favorite sabudana.
Not favorite anymore. It's all like going away little by little. But do you have a number in mind that you can put a calorie count?
You know, the bit about calories, you're not very sure because you don't know what portions of the ingredients
Yes.
have been used.
Yeah.
But clearly, nothing here is below 200, 250 kilocalories. 200, approximately, most of the things maybe except this
Yeah, aloo
thing,
ki
which is
sabzi,
the
yeah.
least guilty bit about
Right.
of the whole plate here.
Right.
You know?
So help me understand this. If someone really wants to still have it, have your typical Navratri food, the one which now has become the
Yeah.
fasting food, can they go down on portion size, and does that make it any better?
I think two things here. One is when I remember when we were younger, when we used to fast, it was in a limited time window. You could not eat before 12 noon and nobody was eating after 6:30.
After sunset.
Yeah. So which meant that maybe you ate only once or max of twice a day. So that is one easy way to do it. Eat in a smaller window, you know, which is after taking a shower, praying, doing your rituals, then you eat your first meal. And you don't eat after sundown or eat much before sundown. So that's one way. Second is, of course, portions. You know, this is, gluttony is probably a sin. Yes, looks like a plate full of gluttony. It doesn't look like a fasting plate.
Yeah.
You could go down and maybe choose one or two ingredients. Yes. Because satiety is really not about eating a large meal. It's
Yeah.
about, practicing eating in a mindful way where you feel satiated with a little less.
Yeah. So I'm thinking of other questions people will have in mind. But 7 दिन का fast होता है. एक दिन तो थोड़ा खा सकते हैं या 2 दिन तो थोड़ा खा सकते हैं. You can't be starving yourself like this. So to those people, can you say that okay, if you really want to have, pick one
Yes.
and then go back to raw food on the other. Is that a good way?
Yeah, that's what is missing in this plate. Yes,
Yeah.
raw fruits.
Any
are
kind of
missing.
fiber.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there is no raw fruit. You could cut cucumbers and start with that. Yes, for people who can eat a little bit of curd and paneer, that could be homemade hung curd and paneer could be there because that will give you satiety and it's hardly any calories. It's just good fat and protein. You could also, of course, add more fiber by adding some vegetables which are not so overcooked. Maybe just boiled potatoes sprinkled with salt and something
Right,
like that.
right.
Yes. But here,
Or maybe just water chestnut, which is boiled, and just with have it with some senda namak.
yes.
And
Have
something
you
like
tried
that.
them? They're super tasty.
Yeah, they're
yes.
yum, yeah,
yes. So
yeah.
there's so many things that can be done. We haven't done. Of course, this plate doesn't have it. And I don't know why there are no fruits. A lot of people do end up eating
Yeah.
a large serving of fruit as one meal, and which is a good
Right.
idea. Nuts and seeds is another one.
Right,
Yes.
right.
A small bar or a laddu made with
Yeah,
nuts and seeds
yeah,
is also
yeah,
a good
yeah.
idea.
Okay, so this is everything that you should not be having. But don't worry, we are not depriving you of all the pleasures. We've also got solutions on the program. So I'm going to request my colleague there to sort of bring in a relatively healthier plate, and then let's see how that goes. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Oh,
So move aside, feast. It's time for fasting, right? Okay. All right. So what do we have here? Let's start with the raw one. Fruits.
yes.
The question here is anything raw is nice, but again, you should be careful about how much of fruit because this also has a lot of sugar.
Yes.
Especially if you're a diabetic, pre-diabetic.
Yeah, not too much, smaller portions, and choose fruits with low fructose, citrus fruits, berries, pineapple.
Yeah.
Of course, all these fruits are good. Grapes may be a little too much here,
Okay.
but otherwise, fruits that have low sugar are better.
Yeah.
More fiber, less
Yeah.
sugar. Yes.
So a lot of people who say are still working, people like me who want to detox but have to come to work and want to nibble on something, would a fruit bowl like this be a good idea to get to work and then have no other meal a day?
So the thing with fruit is, as you correctly said, there's a lot of sugar. This
Yeah.
is nature's candy, yes.
Yeah.
So what you can do is you can start with something which lines your stomach. For
Yeah.
example, eat a good fat. If nothing else, just eat some grilled paneer or have a bowl of Greek yogurt, or maybe just
Because
have.
a lot of people in certain places, like in UP, I know even paneer is not allowed.
Yeah. So
during
you can just
fasting.
have curds,
Yeah,
hung
yeah.
curd made at home. Any day you can have some toasted nuts and seeds, and then maybe move to the fruit, so that
Got
you
it.
don't have so much sugar entering your system. And also, what happens with fat is it's satiating. You
Yes.
feel full after eating
Yeah,
it. Whereas
yeah.
with fruits, you could finish it off, and you will still
All
feel
right.
hungry.
So the people who are on the other extreme and think that only fruits is the way to go when you are fasting, remember the advice here: line your stomach first with some good fat. That basically means some paneer, maybe if you're allowed. If not, then just some good curd made at home. Just have that, like a little bowl of it, and then go and attack your fruits if that's what you're going to go. But let's move on to here. This looks really nice and interesting.
Yes.
So this is some chila made out of kutu.
Yes.
With some vegetables. I see beans and carrots and all of that. So chila compared to a puri, definitely lower on calorie.
Absolutely. Two advantages. One, you're not frying it, and two, you can use very good quality fat here. Yes, mostly we do the frying in refined and seed
Yeah.
oils, which
Do
are
this in
inflammatory. You can do this in ghee, very
yeah,
little ghee.
yeah.
And if you have a good iron pan or a skillet, you can do it in
Yeah.
very minimal ghee. Yes.
Right. So again, the curd here has a bit of seeds on it.
Yeah.
So no sugar, of course. That's a big no-no during fasting. Try to go off it. Would you recommend?
Most people end up eating a lot of sugar,
Yeah.
yes, whereas you're supposed to reduce sugar
Yeah.
intake.
Yeah.
So sour curd with a little bit of seeds is a very good idea. And I mean, if you're really, really craving for sweet, have a bit of jaggery on the plate, like a very small serving.
Yeah.
That will take care of the sweet.
And maybe at the end of the meal,
At the end
not
of it,
in the
yeah.
beginning. Then we have some makhanas over here.
Yeah.
A lot of people end up frying it. A lot of people end up putting it in kheer, which again has a lot of sugar. So you got to avoid it. You just got to take it
Just
as is
toasted wax.
and pop.
Yes.
That's all.
Thank you.
Made you talk so much. Let me sort of do that. But moving on from makhana, there's also coconut, right? Great for the gut, I'm told. Great for your gut biome. What exactly are we doing with coconut here on the plate?
One, the best fat that you can have, it has something called medium chain triglycerides that cross your the barrier for the brain, actually travel from your gut all the way to the brain to strengthen your mental health also. It has the best form of fats. It also makes in your body something called short chain fatty acids that are required for preventing neurological decline, preventing Alzheimer's, Parkinson's.
Oh, really?
Coconut is also a source of every mineral and vitamin that you can think of. Zinc, magnesium, folic acid, you know. So it's an excellent food to have and the best fat actually, you know. And the beauty of coconut is that you could eat it in any form. Just raw coconut is good enough. Coconut oil, coconut milk, all
Coconut
forms.
chutneys people really enjoy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
so tasty and so easy to eat. And as you said, great for your gut, very easy
Yeah.
to digest. Also.
Yeah. I didn't know this mental health aspect of
Yeah.
coconut. That's news to me as well. But let's
We
move
give
on to
medium chain triglycerides
Yeah.
now from coconut oil to our patients who have anxiety and depression.
Is it? Oh, that's so interesting. Let's move on to the next one. This is basically ghee or lauki, right? It's been cut into a circle and there's some stuffed paneer in the middle. Again, people who don't are not allowed paneer can easily switch it with some vegetables.
Yes.
Would this be again easy to make? Is this like a chila? You just sprinkle something, saute it on the pan and you're
Absolutely,
ready.
looks like any day, looks like a great kebab, yes. Would replace a fried kebab and I think it can be done on a pan.
Yes.
And this is bottle guard, yes. So again, very easy on your stomach, super nutritive, full of water and minerals. So great, I mean, and you know, if you compare these two, whoever has done this job has done a great job because look at the portions.
Yes.
They look like more human, more respectable portions. That looks like
Yeah, you're about to.
greed.
Yeah, we'll do the comparison also in just a bit. But can I just make a quick note? You talked about who's done this. When we were making preparations for this broadcast, it was so simple to order all the unhealthy stuff.
Yes.
It was all available on your quick delivery platforms, on anywhere you wanted to go, and it was available in 10 minutes. But when we tried to go for healthier options, there was no place delivering it. This again tells you what? That today, even if people want to be healthy, it is so difficult. You've got to go back to your own kitchen and take out those 10 minutes.
Absolutely. We call it an obesogenic environment. The environment of food that we live in is basically fueling obesity and chronic disease.
Yeah.
It's not the environment, I mean, you know more than me, but if you move to better countries like Europe and Japan, they've made their food in a way that it fuels health instead of fueling disease.
And it starts with their
obesity.
schools. Japan is doing such a great job at that. They've ensured that none of the schools have tuck shops or none of the schools have sodas or any processed food. So they start young so that that culture actually goes in. We are a long way from that. Now this is something interesting. For all the drinks that you want to have, this is just some seeds in water? Like what exactly
I think
is the
tender
thought here?
coconut water,
Yes.
which is extremely good because it's also great for hydration. It has potassium, sodium, chloride, all the electrolytes you require. And the seeds will add that extra nutrition that is required. Also, it'll add a little bit of, you know, volume to the water. So it'll also be good. It's easy. You can
it
actually
true?
soak chia seeds overnight.
In tender coconut water and just have it like that. Is it true that tender coconut water is like a meal in itself? The amount of what it does to your body? Yeah.
I mean, it's again nature's beautiful meal. Yes, it's rich in minerals. It's also rich in certain types of, you know, vitamins which are otherwise not found, like vitamin A, for example. And yeah, it's a meal in itself. You could just take this for a snack instead of opening a packet of chips.
It's going to cost more than a cola, but trust me, your body is going to love it and you're going to feel satiated for so much longer. So here we are towards the end of this discussion. Let me sort of bring in the earlier one as well. So this is what we started with, right? We started with a plate full of just too many calories, perhaps more than what you should be consuming. And then we went on to show you that how you can easily swap it to something simple, something that can be done at home, which is easier on the gut, and you actually end up sort of achieving the purpose of fasting, right? Can I quickly take a check on portions as well over here? You mentioned that point earlier. I just want to sort of figure that out, that here 2 puris and 2 chilas, but it's different for everybody. Some people, for me, I feel like even this is too much.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think this is a lot of food for
Yeah.
most people.
Yeah.
Yes, this could be one meal, and this could be probably one meal in itself.
Right.
Yes, you just add a little bit of nuts to this,
Yeah.
and that will take care of it. This definitely is.
For the whole crew.
I
This is
think
what we're going to do right after the shoot then. So the idea here is to say that if you want to have once in a while indulge in something, that's okay as long as you know where to stop. Is there a mechanism or a trick that you want to share with our audiences on when to stop?
Yeah, two things here. One, how much food you eat is a practice. It's not really a physiological signal. You decide how much you want to eat, and your body will respect that. Yes, because satiety is a signal which takes time to build and come back. The second thing is, most of the time the problem happens if you eat in a group setting or you're distracted while eating. So you're not very sure of how much you've eaten, and if you
You're
put
not
a
listening to your body.
if you put a little bit of mindfulness into what you're eating and you savor every bite, you need much less of food. Yes.
Right. Any closing thoughts, Manjari, for the Navratri season that's coming? And then there is Diwali, and then there is New Year's, and in North, all of us are going to have like these terrace parties now with lots of snacks and everything.
So because Diwali, New Year's, Christmas is down the line, and vacations also will
Yes.
follow, I think Navratri is a great time to give your body some rest and recovery.
Yeah.
It's not the time to feast, it's the time to respect your own physiology and understand that food was meant to make you healthy, not to sicken you. And if you eat it for disease, that's what will happen. Yes. Another small thing, which when you were talking about the whole traditional part of it, you see in India, we were not supposed to eat on the go. Food was very sacred. People would shower, sit cross-legged on the floor. Somebody would serve them food and then they would eat it. So the whole act of eating was a very religious, cultural act. And now we've mixed it with eating on the go and eating with a screen in front of us, not respecting our own food, And if we imbibe those small things of having a time to eat, eating in peace, eating mindfully, these are things that we can quickly build up.
And if I may add to that, I think Navratri and fasting is a great tool, not just for those who find it religious, but even for those who want to sort of be one with their body. It's a great excuse to sort of get off food for some time, give your body a break before you get into the indulgences as they come towards the last leg of the year. Well, this was lovely, and all this food is now staring at us. So how about you guys take a break? So Manjari and I and all the crew over here can go and eat. What are we eating? We won't tell you. You can tell us what you would eat in the comments. See you again. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you.